Welcome back to the final part of the Riven Remake. We have successfully trapped Gehn in our little prison book. He's trapped somewhere in the link between here and Dunny. Leave him alone. So now the plan is to free Catherine and then find a way to signal Atrus to come get us with a linking book. And I found this thing here. Seems like a sound clue. Let me listen. Did it dong tink, did it tink. And I believe I made a note of that. Yep, did it ting, ding ting, did it ting. Alright. So let's go free Catherine. Say goodbye to the 233rd age. It is pretty, despite being quite bleak. It's time to go. Alright. And something I discovered when I wasn't playing, I was just watching some other playthroughs. I think the whole purpose of this contraption is literally to polish these power marbles. So when we get them, they're kind of rough. Got some rough edges. But then once they're polished, they'll be nice and round. And they'll look like the ones we used in the giant dome. Alright. Let's see, what's the fastest way? Yeah. We know we have to go through the star fissure to get to the prison island, so let's go to the closest dome. She's right over here. Was. Let me check. Straight up and down. All right. There we go. I'm gonna check which symbol Prison Island is. think that was the picture I'd accidentally deleted, but I believe it's a vertical eye slit. Yeah. Wonder what happens if you can get that to run into you. Alright, let's see. Might actually be this eye slit. Yeah. I'm hearing bird song. That's not exactly what I wanted to hear. I think I'm on Jungle Island. Yeah. Right. Let me back in. Come on, let me back in. Alright. Come on. There we go. Gears out to the side. So I was right about it being a vertical eye socket. Or eye slit. Let's try that again. I'm feeling it's gonna be on this other half. Maybe not. There we go. Here we go. Wonder what's gonna happen when we freak out. Are we gonna be able to walk with her, like all the way, or are we going to be stuck in place while she gets herself through this fissure in front of us? We will see. Yeah. second time's the charm. Alright, what do we got here? So we had dida ding tink, dida tink. It's a tink. Or no. Yeah, that's the dida. Dida ding tink. Tink. Hey. Well, what do you know?
We have to move quickly. Gehn's people may already know what's happening. Once we're back with the moiety, we'll have time to regroup. Can I see the book?
Of course.
You did it. You captured Gehn. We're all free. But there's still his followers. I'm not sure what they'll do once they realize he's gone. I have to get the villagers to safety as soon as possible. And you go back to where you first arrived and reopen the fissure. I know it's risky, but it's the only way to signal Atrus. I'll try to make it back there as soon as possible, but don't wait for me. Oh, and don't forget the combination in my journal. You'll need it.
Okay. Got it. You gonna make me wait for the elevator to come back up? Alright, whatever. So I can take a look at this little area you've been staying in. A lot of good fresh vegetables. Is this your bed? That looks quite uncomfortable. Oh! All the wires have been severed. Maybe I can still page it. Maybe? Alright. Let's see. Here comes the elevator. It's not a bad view from here. It's obviously a little cramped, but use my zoom. So cool. Just for the heck of it. Is there anything note around here? Any secrets? I don't have a reflection. I'm a vampire. Uh-oh. There's that stinking camera. Anyway, enough fooling around. Let's go. Got it. First try. I know for sure that Temple Island is the symbol of the circle and just the dot in the middle. Wait, how's the bridge here? If Catherine just used it. I'm not gonna question it. Bye, Cyan Ball. So yeah, I'm wondering what will happen to all the Gehn's goons. Will Catherine convince them to come with her and the rest of the moiety? Or the Rivenese people that are left. Because this world, I think, is on a timer. We'll see what Catherine finds out. All right. Let's figure out this final puzzle. So she said we need the combination. Oh, sorry. Combination in her journal. Oh, there it is. All right. You just need to translate these symbols into numbers. So let's do a little bit of a... Actually, to make this easy on us. Actually, I'm gonna save. All right. So way at the beginning, we started learning roughly how the Rivenese numbering system works. Got the number 1 here. We start in the top right. 2 is rotated 120 degrees clockwise. That would be a wedge at the bottom. 3, another 120 degree rotation. That's where we get this symbol. Now that we've used all 3 positions, we add on a second wedge Um, so this is 5. This is 6. So 4 would have a wedge here, a wedge here. Those two rotate 120 to get to this symbol. Then those rotate 120 to get to this symbol. And now, I don't believe they have a symbol where all 3 are filled in. They instead just tack on another wedge to the outside and do the 1 through 6 pattern again, just with a extra layer. So 7 would be symbol 1 with an extra wedge. Then we have 8 here. Symbol of 2 with an extra wedge. And so on. Yeah, 10 is this guy. All right, so let's see if we can translate. Let's get full screen here. Somehow the quality seems kind of worse when you take a picture. It's kind of weird. Anyway, this symbol 3. We have 3 plus another one on top. That should be 3 plus the completed 6. That's 9, 3, 9, 3, 1, 4, 8, 10. Hold on, let's see. 3, 9, 3, 1, 4, 8, 10, 4, or no, not 4, 6, 4, 6, 3, 9, 3, 1, 4, 8, 10, 6, 4, 6. Okay. So 3, 9, 3, 1, 4. It's our first. 3, 9, 3, 1, 4. 3, 9, 3, 1, 4. 8, 10, 6, 4, 6. 8, 10, 6, 4, 6. 8. Oh, dang it. 10. 6. 4. 6. Oh, it's working. Oh, interesting. Okay. So originally, I was figuring that this machine would roll forward, just knock this over. But now that there's a control to lift that up and down. Let's see here. Looks about right. Maybe not. Maybe we need a little bit lower. There we go. And lift. Oh, I'm stuck. I can't. Oh. Oh. Oh Lord. What have I done? What have I done? Whoa. Sucking everything in. Oh! There with the knife. Okay. I think that's it. Atrus! You saw our signal.
There isn't much time. Where's Catherine?
Where's your glasses?
Where's the book? I don't understand.
Atrus! The villagers are safely in the rebel age. I thank you.
Okay.
As do I. You've accomplished more than I could have hoped for. You've given me back my life. The path home is now clear for all of us. This is where our paths must part. Perhaps we'll meet again someday. You know where to find me.
I suppose so.
Goodbye, my friend.
Bye. Oh. Wait. Bye-bye, Riven. It's nice exploring you.
Now I understand. Endings and beginnings are within the fissure. That riven cleft of stars that acts as both a wall and a bridge. And though I'm unable to understand how, the very flow of stars that brought my mist book into worthy hands, I am sure served as a safe passage home for my friend. The age of Riven has come to a close, but the people of Riven are free. And now I am at rest, understanding that in books and ages and life, the ending can never truly be written.
Yay. Well, apparently we're gonna float back home safely to where I first found the book. The Mist book, which is the start of the previous game, the original Mist. You find a book laying on the ground in the wilderness, pick it up, touch the linking panel, and off to Mist you go. So now we've come full circle. I'm finally back home. Wonder how long I've been gone. But anyway, I really enjoyed my time with this remake. Whereas Mist, original game that came out in 1993 has had multiple remakes. It's kind of been like a tech demo test bed for Cyan as technology has improved. So there's been several real-time rendered graphics versions of Myst throughout the years with better and better fidelity. And then the most recent version came out in 2020. I played through, and it's a gorgeous game, but they kept almost everything about the same in terms of the gameplay to the original. Now, Riven, on the other hand, this was the first ever remake or remaster it's ever had since 1997. So, this has been quite a jump in technology. And I am kind of glad that we've waited this long to get a remake of Riven. For it to be done properly with near photorealistic graphics that we now have in 2024. Because looking back at the original Riven and the fidelity of its graphics, it's just mind-boggling how much it holds up. Let's see where this takes us real quick. So pretty much right to our last decision here. Anyway. So overall, my thoughts on this remake. I think it looks fantastic. They have done such a wonderful job of remaking the game to in a way that it's almost as exactly as you remembered playing the original. Now going back to the original game nowadays, you can definitely see the lack of general visual qualities, starting with the resolution of the screen. But still, playing this remake has definitely been almost a one-to-one. Well, in terms of the visuals, been one-to-one to how I remember the original game, and that's just super impressive. I think the art direction, the color grading, and the lighting have just been spectacular. And some of this art direction is what really sets Cyan apart in terms of their world building. They're able to make such beautiful and amazing scenery and there's a word I'm forgetting, but surreal, that's it. Surreal worlds with this odd technology, very steampunk-esque. It's all so very intriguing, and you just want to explore how things work and why things exist in the world. And almost everything has been thought through. There's not a piece of technology or a construction that isn't rooted in uh, some kind of logic, internal logic within the lore of Myst. And it's truly impressive how much of a style Cyan has created for themselves that is almost instantly recognizable by anyone who's played at least a couple of Cyan's games. In terms of the changes compared to the original, being able to first of all being able to move around in real time, see the things that fill in the gaps that our imaginations had to fill in when clicking through the original slideshow type of gameplay, the point and click. It's amazing how close it is to how I imagined the in-betweens of each location. It all makes so much sense, and even more sense now for the changes that they did do, structure-wise, location-wise, puzzle-wise, lore-wise. There's a lot of changes that make Riven more consistent. Like the fact that we have remnants of another rail system to the prison island that was not there in the original. All these above the water pipes leading to each dome. That's new. This whole Starfisher setup is a little bit more fleshed out. Originally, it was just this telescope thing around here. Didn't have any of that, none of this. Just a telescope that we could raise and lower and then eventually punch through the floor to break open the Starfisher like we did with this machine here. So, a lot of really creative additions that I really enjoyed. The major puzzles definitely had some tweaks. So I'd say there's about 3 main puzzles in the entire game. One is to learn the dunning number system, which you can learn the number sequence by playing that one game in the classroom on Jungle Island, the one where you have 2 people lowering down by certain increments until they got eaten by the work at the bottom. That learning mechanic for the dunning number system is still intact in this new game, pretty much exactly as it was before. But now they've added on yet another number system. These Rivenese numbers. It's a lot simpler, to be sure. And if you can figure out the dunning number system, you can definitely figure out the Rivenese system. I feel bad for whoever had a hard time figuring out the dunning numbers, but anyway. So they've expanded the original puzzle of learning numbers, tacked on a little bit more. It's a lot more lore consistent, that you would teach dunning numbers not with just a game like this in the background, but you'd also try to translate or have a translation of Rivenese numbers, which the Rivenese already know, be able to have a one-to-one translation of it. That makes a lot of sense. In the original game, there was no Rivenese numbers. There weren't really even Rivenese letters, or Rivenese writing either. But this edition is very nice, and it makes sense, especially for a classroom setting like this. The second puzzle has to do with the animal symbols and the numbers associated with them. So the mechanic with the bit of like a magnifying glass kind of thing, revealing the secret symbols, that's a new mechanic. In the original game, there weren't any symbols like this. Instead, they're kind of perspective based puzzles, where you would be looking from a certain angle, and would see the outline kind of like in the shape of these symbols. And since it was in a slideshow format, you're able to lock the player into a certain perspective to make it a little bit easier to see. But in the original game, it was much harder to find those perspective symbols. And at the same time, the only animals you had to deal with were ones that you would see along the way. That would be the sunners, like this guy, the work, the beetle, the frog, and also the fish. I don't believe there was a sixth symbol you need to find. But anyway, in the original, you're able to find all of these animals, learn their sounds, and instead of statues like these, you'd have just a little rolling ball that when you roll it, it would make the sound of an animal. And that ball would have one of the eye symbols on it. So that way you're skipping the whole mechanic of finding the hidden symbol with the glass, and then finding the associated Riven number with that symbol. Instead, you could directly learn dunny numbers, learn the eye symbols, and learn the animal sounds. In this game, you did not necessarily need to do that. So it's a little different. It's more accommodating for people with, I guess, hearing disabilities. Well, I'm sure there's a setting for audio subtitles, or audio clue subtitles, I should say. But yeah, it definitely, this remake added another layer of complexity onto that puzzle. Didn't make it that much harder. Actually, somewhat streamlined the perspective puzzles. It was certainly fun finding those symbols around these weird statues. But I do kind of prefer the discovery in the original game of those perspective outlines. Um, in addition to already being able to solve the puzzle with all the facts or all the clues you already have. But that's a kind of a pretty weak um, criticism. But they definitely did a great job streamlining this puzzle. And the last major puzzle is the dome, getting into the getting the book to the 233rd age powered up. That required you to know all these colors, and the symbols associated with the dome on each island, as well as this grid showing dome locations. I did like the simplification of it all. In the original, these this area, you would have a control panel with just buttons in the shapes of each of these sections. You click on one, it would raise up, or it would heat up water on top of these little raised sections instead of pushing up blocks. It would heat up water, and then you would turn around, walk down the path behind this panel, go to the little lake where you can see the work. This lake. And in the middle of the lake, there was a room. And inside the room, there was a topographical map with all these metal bars extruding up exactly like this, except you could only extrude one part of the map at a time. Like, in the same way that these shapes are divided into little squares, you can only extrude one square at a time of the island that's currently activated from this panel. And you'd have to look at each one until you find which section has the dome for that island. So in this remake, they tell you where they are, and they make it a lot easier. But yeah, in the original, you had to find the exact location of each dome and take notes of that position. It was actually even more granular than this. So you'd find the square that had the dome inside of it, and that square is divided 5 rows by 5 columns, excuse me. And you'd have to know which the coordinates of the row and column that the dome was located in. So essentially you're ending up with a 25 by 25 grid, and you need to know the coordinates of all 5 smaller domes. So that in itself is hard. This kind of cuts all that crap, gives you the location right away. You just have to do the normal puzzling out of the color associated to each dome. So they made it a lot easier in that respect. However, they did add this strike force component to each of the power marbles. This was not in the original. In the original, all you had to do was know the exact place of each dome on each island and which color was associated with it. But now they've added this strike force thing, which is different for each colored power marble. And as long as you were able to translate the note here, this, it was pretty easy to figure out the strike force. Except I got stuck on this for a while. So you have the minus, minus, plus, plus, plus. I was like, okay. So we have -5, -1, 10, 13, 16. We just have to put the 0 somewhere along this scale. And it would make most sense for a 0 to be along one of the longer points of the line. Like, I thought it was probably 0 right here, so you could have -5 all the way at the end, and then 5, 10, 15, 20. That made a lot of sense. But it didn't work until I considered this other bit of paper. Yeah, I don't have a direct picture of it, but it said base value or base strike force value. That got me thinking, maybe perhaps there's an offset plus or minus an amount of strike force that then these values would be put into account. You'd have the base value, which I believe ended up being 4. You would have 4 minus 5, 4 minus 1, 4 plus 10, so on and so forth. So all your values got shifted up 4. And I kind of trialed and errored that. I'm not sure if there's a definitive way to find the exact base strike force value other than brute forcing it, but it is honestly not that hard to brute force. And as soon as you got it right, there is a white button that appeared that you can press to activate the whole giant dome and turn the linking book on. So it's that base value, kind of arbitrary, not very well communicated to the player, I would say. I may just be missing something. I didn't read fully through the journals, which the journals a lot of the times has some very crucial information. But in the end, I solved it with not too much difficulty, having previous knowledge of the original game. So this edition of the Strike Force is definitely interesting and fun. The process of mining out this little power marble was very fun. You're like hunting in a cave for some geodes. And you could break open the geode and expose the core of the 5-pointed material on the inside. It was very fun. Um, and yeah, overall, I think it is a general improvement on the marble puzzle for the common player that has probably had a little bit of experience with puzzle games, but yeah, Riven, the original Riven, definitely had a reputation as one of the hardest puzzle games ever for the reasons of it having puzzles that aren't obvious that they're puzzles. And second, that you had to take note of everything around the entire game and put it together. Um, and yeah, thirdly, just getting a combination puzzle like the original marble puzzle, being able to place marbles in a 25 by 25 grid, the um, exact order you needed. That was definitely very difficult. So this new version of the puzzle is definitely softened in difficulty. It's still not ruining the sense of accomplishment you get from finally solving it. I definitely uh, got that dopamine hit of finally figuring out what the bit I was missing. Didn't Only took me a couple hours of knocking my head against the wall this time, but still, overall, that the puzzle and the presentation of all the parts of it are still very good. Uh, let's see other differences. There's a good amount of layout differences, like this whole room with the work that was in a new spot. Um, a spot that made a lot more sense in physical space in terms of where this whole lake or pond that the work is in. That made more sense. Um, oh, getting to explore more of the other two ages, the 233rd and Tay, the Moiety age, that was a blast. Um, you're always confined to like a small room or two for both of those. Um, and it's amazing that we got to go outside or explore more of each of those ages. The 233rd age with Gehn's new office, seeing outside the bleakness, plus how Gehn was carving himself a throne as he tried to write new linking books that kept failing. That was a nice touch. Getting to walk around the inside of the moiety tree, a super iconic symbol of Riven. That was a blast as well. Got to see a little bit more of the moiety, uh, including their weapons. Like looked like a giant pizza cutter, but um, it definitely made a connection with the ginormous one we saw on Jungle Island, near where this photo was taken, is on along the rope bridge at the end of this path. That was very cool. And I still even now want to see a bit more of both, but I don't think seeing more of either of those ages would add anything to this story or this game in general. So I'll still give Cyan props for what they've added. Let's see. Some small nitpicks I had. Of course, nothing's gonna beat the full motion video of the original game with real actors. Rand Miller and John Keston. Definitely being the standout. Seeing their live performance was really, it really made the original game that much more immersive. And while their 3D models in this game were top notch, they looked fantastic. Some of the animation, especially with the mouths not really syncing with the words, and hand animation, and some little bit of glitchiness with outfits clipping and things not moving as smoothly as they should. This is a bit of a letdown in some ways, but still. Still definitely a worthy addition to this remake. It would take some really crazy tech to allow you to see, well, not that crazy. I suppose every time you see a person, you'd have to kind of get locked in place by the game so that they can give you the a stereoscopic version of the live action video for VR specifically. That would work, but yeah, we've already lost John Keston, and his performance as Gehn. I don't know if it can be beat with a new actor. It'd be very difficult, and probably not worth the risk. So, Cyan definitely made it the right move, moving to 3D characters and reusing John Keston's audio performance as Gehn. That was a good move. But yeah, hopefully this game gave Cyan a lot more practice with their 3D characters and their animation. They're definitely taking strides to really learn the ins and outs of Unreal Engine, build their own tools. I know they use metahumans for the characters in this game. Their graphical fidelity is really good. They just need a little bit more practice with the animation department, but still, great effort for what they did in this game. Yeah, there are some glitches they probably can still patch out. Like, you can look at this pillar over here. You can see the shadow popping in and out. That rock all the way over there popping in as you rode the maglev over here. This little things still need cleaned up. Overall, the shadows are pretty good. I would like the shadow contrast to be a little bit higher. I might be able to adjust that in my graphical settings, but yeah, overall, it's a fabulous looking game. Worthy of high-end machines needed to run it. Good showcase of the abilities of Unreal Engine 5, which I'm pretty sure this was made in Unreal Engine 5. Um, I think. Can I skip through this? Not really. Hold on, let me look that up real quick. Yep. Unreal Engine 5. Yep. In loving memory of John Keston, indeed. Ooh, that reminds me. The music in this game. They cleaned up the original tracks and added more tracks. Especially for some of the newer areas, like the Starfisher underneath the domes. That was a really, really cool addition. Very welcome. There, the new music was composed by the original composer for the original game, Robin Miller. And the new tracks definitely, a lot of them were very compatible with the original Raven soundtrack. Like there, I remember a specific one down in the cave where you mined the power marble. That was a great new track. Although there are definitely some tracks, like the one you hear in the Starfisher, that were cool. But I would say the influences of like Abduction, another Cyan game, recent. I think it came out 2018. I think 26, somewhere between 2016 and 2018. The new track definitely reminded me of Abduction music rather than Riven. But still, for such a strange place as the Starfisher, it was kind of fitting. Definitely more a spacey, grand theme. So, I personally love the new tracks, each and every one of them. I, some of them don't quite fit in with the original vibe of the original soundtrack, but I don't know. I can definitely forgive it. It's still really cool, and perhaps to new players, it won't even really feel that different. It'll come to be, as a whole, as iconic as the original soundtrack was. So, all right, well, kind of grasping at things to say. I believe I said enough about the changes as I came along them through my gameplay. So I think I will end this video. My final thoughts are, I 100% love this game, this remake, and this remake has only added to my passion for the original. It's still it's been a good reminder that although my love for the original is very nostalgia based, playing it when I was like tweens, early teens, I think. This remake has reminded me that it's not all just nostalgia that informs my love for this game. It still stands the test of time as one of the most incredible puzzle games ever. The favorite that I've ever played. And I've played a lot of good ones. But still, this is the pinnacle of puzzle design for me. The world is just so beautiful. One of the pinnacles of visual spectacle, surrealism, both natural and artificial design. Yeah, it's the whole package, man. You got lore you can look into. There's a wealth of lore in the game and outside of it that is so worth looking into. And yeah, I can't say more good things about it. This remake is way surpassed my expectations, and I feel so privileged to be able to have the opportunity to play this remake. And relive some of my best memories from my childhood playing the original. So, yeah. I hope whoever sees this video will be encouraged to buy this game, support the creators. They have some great games available right now. Modern games. I highly recommend Abduction. Ferment is fabulous VR experience. The Miss remake is really fun if you want to see what led or what came before Riven in terms of the storyline. And it's also a very, very visually stunning game, as are Firmament and Abduction. So if you have any interest in playing this game, or you loved how this game came together, definitely go check out the others and support the creators. They're like I believe they're the longest running independent game studio in the US. And I actually live in Spokane, where they're based, and it gives me a little bit of extra pride getting to know I live in the same area that this game studio does. So yeah. Alright. Well, that's more than enough talking. I hope you're probably bored of me talking by now, so I will end it here. And I don't know if there'll be any other games I'll play and record. But we'll see. So, goodbye for now. See ya next time. Maybe. Bye.